Welcome back to Man Down Sports, man. As you can see from the thumbnail, Golden State Warriors is the topic of this discussion today. They just got eliminated by the Lakers in a blowout type fashion. I mean, LeBron James and Anthony Davis really put it on them boys, man. So it's interesting because I don't even think they should have got out of the first round. I really think the refs kind of carried them out of that first round. The Kings were the better team. The Kings really took it to them on both ends of the floor. And I think the difference between how that series turned out was, how they changed the officiating from game to game. I think, I really think the Kings got the short end of the stick on that. But nonetheless, they go out in the second round, and a lot went wrong for them this season, starting with the preseason and starting with the Draymond Green punch. So I kind of want to go over some of that stuff. Kind of the things that I was pointing out at the beginning of the season. Because as soon as that punch went down, I was like, oh man, that's gonna be an issue. That's gonna be a locker room divider. And then they come out of the gates, and I think in the first 15 games they only won like maybe 4 games. They had a bad record, and it was really horrible on the road. So it was a lot of stuff going on, and I'm like, man, that spells chemistry issue. That's telling me there's a divide in the locker room, and no one wanted to admit that's what was going on. And I'm like, dude, that's not normal for someone to get knocked out and then it gets leaked to the public. Like, even if it didn't get leaked to the public, that same thing probably would have happened as far as the locker room, and the same outcome probably would have been there. So I'm gonna kind of go over some of the things that's problematic for the Golden State Warriors and why I think this season was, if not the beginning of their downfall, it might have been their downfall. I don't know if they recover from this very easily, and we're gonna go over it. So there's this thing that you keep hearing around Golden State, around the Warriors team, when you listen to some of their fans, or if you listen to some of the radio stations in San Francisco or whatnot that cover the Warriors. They always talk about the core, right? So the core group of the Golden State Warriors is really that trio of Draymond Green, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. Those were the guys that was together when they won their first championship. In this modern day, right? So they won a championship together. Now, mind you, Iguodala was there as well, but for some reason, when they talk about the core, they don't mention Iguodala. They just leave him out, and Iguodala is a better player than, probably for sure better player than Draymond Green. He's older. He retired he just retired, announced his retirement. So I get it. But he's probably better than Klay, really, if you look at their primes. When Iguodala was by himself with Philadelphia, leading Philadelphia, they went to the playoffs. So Iguodala is a good player. I don't think you want to leave him out when you talk about the core, but when they talk about the core, it's really just those 3 guys: Draymond, Klay, Steph. And the way they talk about it is kind of is one of those things that if you're on the outside looking in, and this is within a locker room, you can be on the team and you can feel like you're not part of the core. And I take you all the way back to Kevin Durant being arguably the best player in the league. If not the best player, no lower than top 2. If you want to put LeBron ahead of him at that time, great. But he was top 2 player in the league in his prime. Comes over to the Warriors, wins a championship, wins Finals MVP, outperforms everybody on the floor, go head to head with LeBron James and make it look easy, and they sweep them. Right? So you think you would earn some type of respect. You would think that they would roll the red carpet out for things of that nature. But what happens? They go into the parade to celebrate their win, and the freaking GM says a joke. But we all know when you're joking, there's always truth in some of your jokes. There's always truth in jest. And he makes the comment that Kevin Durant is not part of the original crew. right? And if you, I don't, you can Google that, you can YouTube that, but if you didn't catch that, what the joke was I think that the guy that was emceeing the whole parade, he asked Bob Myers as as the GM, hey, I guess now you're going to be giving Kevin Durant that max contract, and he and I think he said something along the lines of we'll give him, like he basically said we're not gonna give him the max contract. He was like, what about Steph Curry? He was like, Steph Curry can get whatever he want, but Kevin Durant can't because he's not part of the original. He said Steph Curry is part of the original, and everybody was like, oh my God. Like they tried to laugh it off, but it was like, that's like, come on, bro. Like seriously. Right. So even from the top down, I don't know if that's how the owner thinks, but from the GM down, that's how they think. Bob Myers, Steve Kerr, Draymond, Clay, Steph, they all think in their manner. You got the original three, the core three. They can always say the core, and then there's everybody else. And I'm gonna tell you why that's problematic. Well, when Bob Myers said that, that was the first thing that kind of drew a wedge between Kevin Durant and everybody else. But he's still on the contract for 2 more years. They win another ring, and they go to a third finals, but he tears Achilles. And then Draymond Green gets in that argument and tells Kevin Durant one more time, we won without you. We don't need you, right? So there's always this undertone of the core three is all we need. We can get it done. It don't matter who you is. So you're the best player in the league in Kevin Durant. And you got the owner, not the owner, but you got the GM joking about you not being part of the original three, you not being part of the core three. And then you got Draymond Green sitting on national TV in an argument on the court after he called you the B word, telling you we don't need you, we won without you. Right. So, hey, look, if I'm Kevin Durant, great, man. Y'all keep winning without me. I'll leave. Y'all can have it. In comes Jordan Poole, right? They're saying there's so many ways and so many things that happened that showed Jordan Poole that same thing that Kevin Durant had to understand. I'm gonna play part of the post game interviews with Steve Kerr, talking about the core, and I kind of want to get y'all to understand this core is a real thing. Here's Steve Kerr.
I know that you're still in the wash of just the series and you've been in it, and obviously we all turn our attention to what comes next. And you guys have, if it's not a championship team, this ownership group has historically been willing to sort of pay whatever it takes to field a championship team. Does what you guys did this year, does it make a convincing argument to keep this all together or to retool it in certain ways?
I think it's probably too raw right now for me to think about. The one thing I will say is that, Draymond, Clay, Steph, our core guys, they've got plenty left off. There's still plenty in the tank there.
So you heard Steve Kerr. They asked them about, she basically asked them, is this still a championship team? And the first thing, this is the head coach. First thing he says, hey, Draymond, Steph, Clay, the core, right? The core three still got plenty left on the tank, right? Let's see what they say when they ask Draymond about that.
And then what you all displayed here, I wonder if you agree with that assessment, with that gut feeling, and then if that is the case with the same core kind of trying to do it again, how do you get back to that?
I think this group definitely maxed out what we could do. It wasn't a championship team. We didn't win it. So sucks, but that's our reality. That doesn't mean our core changes. That doesn't mean our core can't do it again. They said we couldn't do it again last year. We did it.
That's him again. Hey, look, man, they're asking about the roster and it wasn't a championship team. And he's saying, no, we maxed out this group. He said the group. So the whole roster, the group wasn't a championship group, but the core is a championship. He's saying the core is good. There's nothing wrong with the core. We've done it before. We've done it 4 times. That's how they think. We've done it 4 times. The core is nothing wrong with the core. Keep the core together. Change the rest of the group, right? Let's hear what did Curry say?
last one, Rachel.
Steph, Draymond was just expressing the confidence he has in you, him, and Clay as a core and what you guys can do in the future. What is it for you knowing those two guys? And if you do stay together through the next couple of years, what does that make you feel like you could do?
No matter how different it looks, I think we understand each other, what we all bring to the table, the trust that, we're just going to compete until the wheels fall off. And, that is something that should not be taken for granted in this league, because we've proven that we can do it. And even in this series and this year, like, things were looking bleak at one point in the regular season, and you find yourself in the second round trying to just scratch and claw your way out of it. So we're going to fight and we're going to compete, and we believe in each other. And that goes up and down the roster.
So he at least tried to clean it up at the end. He said that goes up and down the roster, but no, he's talking about the core. They're all talking about the core. The question was about the core. That's priority number one in Golden State, right? That's all they talk about: the core, the core, the core, the core, the core, right? And if you're a player that's not part of that core, if you're Wiggins, if you're Wiseman, if you're Kuminga, if you're Jordan Poole, maybe Looney to a certain extent. I think Looney might be safe because they don't have another guy like Looney at all, and they don't have a guy from the core like Looney, right? So those centers and power forwards a little bit safe, but if you or the center's a little bit safe, but if you play the position that Clay, Steph, or Draymond play, right? You got pretty much wait your turn, and waiting your turn is gonna waste a lot of time, and you're gonna miss out on a lot of money, right? Because you see what's going on with Jordan Poole right now. I think he's trade bait. He's gonna be out there. Kuminga not even getting playing time. Wiseman already got traded. Moody, who knows when he's getting in the game, right? So it's I don't understand what's going on in Golden State. What it looks like is that at some point, I think Bob Myers wanted to try to be smart on how they was building this team, and he was trying to get replacements in for Clay, Draymond at least. I think his mindset was the only guy that really needs to stay here, especially under a max contract, is Steph, because to keep Clay and to keep Dre, when they go to the negotiating table, their agents is going to be speaking from a place of, well, we bought y'all 4 rings and we know how to win and we know how to get it done. And even though Draymond is probably not the best player on your roster, what he brings to a locker room and the attitude he brings and the toughness he brings, you can't put a paycheck on, you can't put a number on it, right? So they're negotiating from things that's not superficial. They're negotiating from things that's like deep and beyond what your eyes can see, right? Clay just go hand in hand with Steph. Draymond goes hand in hand with Steph. So it's almost like if you're going to keep Steph, you got to keep Dre and Clay. They're always talking about their core, right? So this is where it gets in the way, because they got in the way for Kevin Durant. I did a video. I linked it in the description box. And I did a video on that. Kevin Durant talking to Draymond on his podcast, and Draymond asked him, what made you leave? Was it the fight we got into? And Kevin Durant was like, it wasn't so much the fight. It was the fact that Bob Myers and Steve Kerr in the front office in the locker room act like nothing happened, and they didn't check you. Like, we didn't sit down and talk about this and make it right. They didn't check you at all, right? So, and I kind of compared that to what happened when Draymond punched Jordan Poole, and this is where the core comes in, right? So Jordan Poole just won a championship with you, and he had a phenomenal playoff run. He had a phenomenal season last year. So he's probably thinking he's part of the family, right? And that punch kind of woke him up from it, because now that Draymond knocked you out, and I see that Steve Kerr, the front office, the ownership, nobody punished you. Like, Draymond came on national TV on his podcast and said, I'm going to take time off because I need to clear my mind. He said, this is not a suspension. This is me taking time off away from the team. And he missed like 2 or 3 practices. And then the first game of the season was ring night. They was getting their championship rings, and he was there for opening night. right? He made his own punishment. How do you steal and then come home and tell your mama, yeah, I got caught stealing, and here's my punishment. You get what I'm saying? That's basically what he said. So no one punishing Draymond. That's the same thing that happened with the KD situation. They act like it didn't happen. So now Jordan Poole's looking like this man knocked me out at practice on some bull crap. It went public. Everybody's seen it. And the only punishment he's getting is the time he want to take off. Y'all gave him 3 days off of practice, but he get to play in the first game and get ring on his ring night. What kind of mess is that, right? And then he's looking at the locker room and everybody else is acting like, ain't, it is what it is. This is how we do. Let's move on. And I knew immediately there's no way Poole gonna be able to move on for that. I wouldn't be able to move on from that. At some point, Draymond's got to go, or I got to go. But Jordan Poole was due to sign his extension, $130 million. So his agent probably told him, man, you got to suck this up for right now, sign that contract, and then if it don't work out, you can always get traded, but you got your contract, you got your money. So don't ask for a trade, because the team you go to, who knows if you go get that contract, and it won't be the same extension that you got from the Warriors, right? So he signed it probably with that in mind. He got the money, but that don't mean that everything was fixed. And no one believed me when I said that. No one believed me when I said that locker room was split amongst the old heads, the core, and the young guys, the new guys. So here's the proof. Here's now that the season is over. Here's an article that comes out, and this is Shelbourne, who did the interviews and got this information. Ramona Shelbourne, good reporter, right? From the top, it said Golden State Warriors dealt with season-long tension between their championship core. That's that word again, the core. The core, like this is a whole separate team from the team. Like you got a team, and then you got a whole separate team which they got their own rules. They can do whatever they want. Nobody's gonna check them. They can, they can even knock you out at practice if they want to. Like this core group is a problem because now they're separate from the team and they got different rules. Like that's like you look at Tim Duncan and Greg Popovich in the Spurs. Tim Duncan didn't. You had Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, and Tim Duncan, right? That's a core three as well that won championships. And as a matter of fact, I want to say in the last 20 years, they're the number one trio as far in terms of wins, right? They got more than the Warriors. I think the Warriors are third. So this trio even got more than the Warriors, but Popovich didn't treat them different. As a matter of fact, the reports say that Popovich treated Tim Duncan worse because he felt like if I could show you I can cuss Tim Duncan out, then you're not going to get away with anything. But in Golden State, Draymond Green, Steph Curry, and Clay got their own separate rules, and they call them the core. Like this is a real thing. They call them the core, right? So he said tensions between the championship core and younger players after Draymond punched Jordan Poole during a preseason practice. Sources tell ESPN Ramona Shelbourne. Although Poole hasn't been vocal about the matter, his feelings as well as his frustration of Golden State's younger players who didn't receive consistent playing time this season were well known in the locker room, Shelbourne reports. So the locker room has always been iffy after the punch, right? And in the third paragraph, this is the most important one, underlined in red. Additionally, the leaked video of Green's punch, as well as lack of punishment. I just told you, Kevin Durant said the same thing in the interview. He said the fact that they act like nothing happened, Bob Myers and Steve Kerr act like nothing happened, and they just act like, oh, we suspend them or whatnot, that everything was going to be cool. It was like, no, we never addressed it. So when you look at this situation, Jordan Poole, we never addressed it. The dude really sucker punched me and knocked me out, and it's on national TV, and all he got was time off practice. No punishment at all. Didn't address it. You didn't address it. He still walks around like he could just do whatever he want to. talk to however he wants to. And people think that's good because everybody need an enforcer. No, you can't do that. That messes the locker room up, right? So lack of punishment following the team's investigation. You did an investigation and then came out with, you know what? We're not going to punish him at all, right? It resulted in distrust within the organization. I wouldn't trust an organization that did that either. Like, seriously. Like, I wouldn't trust an organization that have 3 guys that we treat different than everybody else on the team because they won. And I'm not even going to give them credit for all 4 championships. I'm definitely giving Kevin Durant credit for 2 of them, and then the core credit for the other 2. So Durant got them 2, and the core got them 2. Now, let's be real about that, right? So Durant got them 2, the core got them 2. But the core is just totally separate, right? So now you see Jordan Poole, who just led the whole bench to the championship, and even in the first round when Steph Curry was hurt last year, he led the starters. Klay Thompson was not himself last year. Jordan Poole picked up the scoring slack, especially when Steph wasn't there, even in the playoffs. And how they repaid him is treating him like this during the preseason, letting Draymond Green and the core treat him like this during the preseason. So the other young guys probably was looking at this like, these dudes don't care about nobody but them three dudes. They don't care about none of us, right? Everybody that helped them get a championship, they just dropped them like a bad habit. Gary Payton Jr., let him go. Didn't even sign. He thought he was going to get a bag and stay with Golden State. They didn't even sign him. Let him go. He signed with Portland, right? They eventually realized they needed him real bad and traded back for him, right? Jonathan Wiseman, dropped him, sent him to the D League. You know, you're not meshing with the core. I think Jonathan Wiseman wanted too much of an offensive role, and that wasn't gonna go well with the core, right? Kuminga, minutes drop down, right? Moody, you never know when he's gonna play, you know. And then of course Jordan Poole. I mean, come on, man. You let me get knocked out, and you're not even gonna do nothing to the dude, right? So they look. All the young guys are looking at this like, man, this is crazy. Like, seriously, man. So Kuminga is reportedly secretly requested a trade if he's not going to be part of the team's rotation next year. And I hope he get traded. I hope Poole get traded. I really want to see the core go down with the ship, and let's see what y'all can do. Y'all, this is what y'all wanted. Y'all wanted Poole, and y'all wanted all these young guys out of here. That's why the locker room is split between the young and the old. It's not even the young and the old. It's the young and the core, and then the guys that's neutral stuck in the middle like Wiggins and Looney. Like Wiggins and Looney, and of course Iguodala, the vet, you know, they all stuck in the middle. And then you got the core 3 with Steve Kerr, and then you got the young guys. And I think Bob Meyer, he drafted these young guys. So I really think Bob Myers is wanting to, or at one point he wanted to move on and he drafted great players. Wiseman, Kuminga, Jordan Poole, that's great. They go right good with Wiggins and Steph if they could have moved on from Draymond and Klay. They would have saved the money and everything. They would have had to adjust their play style and things of that nature. But Steph Curry can adjust to that. You don't have to be locked tied with Klay and Draymond. You don't have to be. You have to take the Bill Belichick approach. And you know, when these guys are getting paid that much money, if the only way I can keep you on the roster is if we winning it every year, right? The second we not the favorites and we're not winning it, I got to share some money. Steph and Klay has got to go. Move on with the young guys. I don't think they're going to do it though. What up, Jay? So I'm not surprised the locker room being split, but this article confirms what I thought. But a lot of us knew the locker room would never be the same after the punch, for sure. And it's crazy. I was trying to tell people this at the beginning of the season. I mean, this is 15 games. As a matter of fact, let me play what I was saying. 15 games into the season. Steve Kerr, they come out, they say the most softest thing they can, which I'm good with, because they were saying they're gonna handle everything in-house. But after watching the Kevin Durant situation go down, I don't feel comfortable that they can handle things in house to where it was going to be satisfactory to Draymond Green, or not Draymond Green, but Jordan Poole, and he was going to feel like this was resolved, right? So here it is again. We're going to sweep it under the rug. We're the defending champions. The season is about to start. I definitely don't want to suspend him and us get off to a slow start. I definitely don't want him to miss ring night on opening night. So what does the Warriors do? They allow Draymond Green to come on TV and say, I'm taking myself away from the team. They didn't suspend me. I'm going to take myself away from the team. Only thing he missed was a couple of practices. And then he got fined. He came back and was like ain't nothing happened, played opening night and everything. Tells Jordan, we don't value you that much. Yeah, we go give you a good contract max extension because you can hoop. But we're so afraid of Draymond Green that instead of really doing something about this and making you feel like we care about you moving forward, in which they probably do, but they're afraid to really show it because it's, you know, they're choosing to not make Draymond Green feel the type of way. You get what I'm saying? So they're not really addressing it again, just like they didn't really address the Kevin Durant situation. So I said this was 15 games into the season. I already knew it. I said there's no way this is going to work, man. No way this is going to work. Jay Jones, I don't understand why they let Wiseman go. I think he fit well in Golden State. So he fit well. His rookie season, he was still trying to work his way into the NBA and whatnot, but he was playing good basketball. And then Steph got hurt, Draymond got hurt. You know, it was just a rough year. And then that second year it was kind of the same. And I think Wiseman ended up getting hurt. But once Clay and Draymond all came back, they didn't need points from Wiseman. While Steph was there without Clay, they was counting on Wiseman to be able to give them points. But when Clay came in, it was like, all right, we got all the points we need now. They wanted Wiseman to play like Kevon Looney is playing now. We want you to rebound, block shots, and that's it. Play defense, rebound. When you rebound the ball on the offensive rebound, immediately find one of the shooters. Find Clay, find Steph, or find Jordan Poole. That's what Kevon Looney does. I think Jonathan Wiseman wanted more because he's a more capable player, and I think that's where the tension started. Plus the fact I think the original core, there's a little bit of jealousy going on, and I think that Klay Thompson know that Jordan Poole just got the money that he was going to be asking for in 2 years, and Jordan Poole was being groomed to be his replacement. So immediately the ego and the competition driven Klay Thompson immediately looked at Jordan Poole in a way where we're kind of competing with teammates, but we're kind of competing. And I want to show them who the real dude is, the dude with the 4 rings, the dude that got 4 rings, right? And Draymond is the same kind of way because if they start moving in the direction of Kuminga and Wiseman, that's kind of a telltale sign that Draymond Green might be on the way out. Because that's a totally different type of offense that they'll be running if you got an offensive minded Wiseman at center, and then you got Kuminga that can play the 3 or the 4, however they want to do it. That's good. That spells doom for Klay and Draymond. So in their mind, they like, man, ain't no way y'all about to daggone boot us out of here after we done get y'all 4 rings for these young kids. So even though they're teammates with them young kids and they're supposed to be their vets and their mentors, they're also competing with them eternally. So that's what happened with Wiseman. That turned into something where man, we really couldn't have him on the team. We had to choose between still trying to win games with our vets or moving on to our young heads. And you can't do both. They was trying to do both. They was trying to keep playing with the vets and had the young heads stay young heads as long as possible, and then hopefully, it just perfect harmony, and they're fine with being on the bench every now and then, sometimes getting in the game and not getting a big paycheck and all that. They wanted them to be fine with all of that, until Draymond and Klay just decided, all right, y'all can have it. We done, right? That's probably what they was expecting. And it ain't gonna work like that, man. It's gonna be real hard to work like that. Let's look at what their payroll look like. So you can see, first of all, they so far over the salary cap. I think the salary cap is like, what is it? 200. Let's say let's say the salary cap is like 215 million. I think their salary is like, no, I think their salary cap might be like in the 100s, right? And they're already over 200 mil with what they're spending, so they're way over the salary cap. So when you go over the salary cap, you have to pay a luxury tax, and I think it's a percentage as well. So if you're over the luxury tax, you better be winning the championship, right? Because you gotta figure out ways to make that money back. And if you think about the extra games, let's say all your games go 6 games and you win the championship, or at least go to the finals, and all your games go 6 games, 6, 12, 18, 20. That's 24 more games that's on television, so you probably getting some of that revenue for the TV. Then of course your home games for your arena, and even when you're on the away, they have watch parties that they make money off of, so you can come to the arena and watch the game on the big screen. So all those games in the playoffs, you're making money, right? So if you make a long, deep playoff run, it'll probably help you pay for that luxury tax. And then if you actually win it, that's really gonna help you pay for that luxury tax. It's gonna make it make sense. Okay, yeah, we're paying all these people this money. I'm over the I'm over the salary cap. Paying this luxury tax makes sense because we won it. But when you're not winning it, it don't make sense. And right now, you see Steph made almost 50 mil this year. Clay made 40. Andrew Wiggins made 33. Draymond made 25. And then everybody else is 8 and below, right? However, when you go to next year, that's when Jordan Poole's salary kick in from his extension, and he's going to be making 28 mil. So you're going to have Steph with 51 mil, almost 52 mil, Clay with 43, Wiggins with 24. He gave them a team friendly deal. He got his money up front. You see how his salary is 33 this year, but 24 next year. Instead of going up with inflation, he got some weird contract. So he actually helping the team out a little bit. Draymond has a player option that he can opt into, which I know he's going to opt into, but he's probably going to try to negotiate to see if he can get an extension. If the Warriors are dumb, they'll do it, right? But if they extend Draymond, that means it's 100% they're going to trade Jordan Poole, because they're not going to have Draymond making 27 and Jordan Poole making 28. It just not going to make sense. One of them got to go, and we've already talked about the core. They're trying to keep their core together. They said that the core can win. The core is a championship team. The team is not a championship team, but the core is. We just got to figure out how to fix it and fix everything around the core. The core is it. That's all they do. It's all about the core, right? So if there's any indication, Draymond Green might be on the roster next year. He might get an extension, which means Jordan Poole's going to be out of there, right? Clay's also is going to be in the contract year next year. He's going to be looking for extension after next year. So next year is going to be starting this summer is going to be very interesting for the Warriors, because we need to know what Draymond is going to do. Is he going to opt in, or is he going to beg for an extension? And if that's the case, if he opts in, do they still keep Poole or do they trade him? Like, all this is interesting. I can't wait. If the Warriors are smart, what they would do is just say, look, we got everything we got out of this core. Let's move on, right? Let's go ahead and trade Draymond. Let's trade Clay, and let's get draft picks for them. Because if they're 33 and 33, if you think that Draymond and Clay still got something left in the tank, this is the perfect time to trade him because everybody else think they got something in the tank. You can't wait till they're washed up to try to trade him with this. Like right now, CP3 is making about the same thing, but he's 38. And his contract goes until he's 40, maybe 41. He got 2 or 3 more years on this contract. So somebody's going to be paying a 39-year-old CP3 next year over $40 million. And then they're going to be paying him a little bit more than that at age 40. Imagine that. Right. And you see how he's breaking down every playoff the last 3 or 4 years at 38, 37. And you see how he's diminished a little bit in skill because his body's breaking down. Right. So who wants to be paying $40 million on a cap for a 38, 39, 40-year-old point guard? Right. That's what you're going to have with Steph and Clay if you keep them. So what you need to do, if Draymond opts in, great. I'm glad you opted in. Now we can trade you. Trade Draymond, trade Clay, and you have to move forward with Steph and the younger 23, he'll be 24-year-old Jordan Poole at your 2 guard. No more controversy between Clay and Poole. Now you got to rely on Poole. Steph and Poole and Andrew Wiggins, 1, 2, and 3. Of course, Kevon Looney will be your 5, but go ahead and throw in the 20-year-old Jonathan Kuminga and let's see what he can do. Right at the power forward, or go get another power forward. But you have to make that. You have to choose. You can't keep both of these guys on your roster. You have to choose. Either you're going to go through with the old 35-year-old guys, or you're going to go with the young guys around Steph. You got to pick. You can't keep these young guys on the bench like this, man. Look at what Boston did. It was a blessing in disguise when Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving got hurt, because then we seen what Tatum and Brown could really do, and they was able to move on from Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving, and let's move forward with our 2 guys, and they got to a championship with that, and they might be getting to another championship this year. Right, that's what you do. But how you expect Kuminga to get good if you're going to keep holding him back on the bench? Throw him in the water, see if he can swim. You have to do that. But that's what their money situation looking like. They can't keep operating like that. All right, they got it. I'm telling you, you got 4 guys on a max contract, and I guess Poole. I think Poole, that's a max contract too. Got 5 guys on a max contract, man. This is ridiculous. That's ridiculous, man. But let's talk about their offense. Their offense wasn't the usual offense we used to see. So what Golden State's offense used to be, yes, they shot threes, but they wasn't like the 3-point shooting teams that we know of, like what is the 8 seconds the Phoenix Suns offense with Steve Nash and D'Antoni. They called it 8 seconds or less. That he got a shot up in 8 seconds or less. That's how fast they was playing. It was threes just coming out of everywhere. They didn't play like that, right? People thought they played like that. James Harden and the Rockets, the way they shot threes, that's not how Golden State played. Steph and Clay shot threes. However, off the off-ball movement of Steph and Clay running through screens, what usually happened is people would try to help or hedge while Steph was coming off those screens, and they would get a lot of backdoor cuts. They get a lot of layups and backdoors. They ran screen and roll every now and then, but it wasn't just jacking up threes all the time. It was a lot of off-ball movement. There was Draymond in the high post where he was looking to pass out of the high post. Sometimes he'll score. When Steph went to the bench, they come on the off the bench with Sean Livingston. He would go on the post. He had a killer mid-range jump shot, turn around out of the post. David West would post up. When KD was there, he would post up. So they had all the elements of offense. A little bit of screen roll every now and then, a little bit of ISO ball with Steph and KD, a little bit of Reggie Miller, Rip Hamilton action with Steph running off screens or Clay running off screens, backdoor cuts, all of that, and post ups, and of course fast break. That was the Golden State offense. This year they fell in love with that three. It was something about adding Poole and having a third splash brother. It was like, man, this is, I mean, we ain't never seen three guys that can get hot like this, right? So they, it worked for them last year. And I think more and more this year they fell in love with that three. And when you watch them play, there were no more post ups that often, right? Who was gonna post up? Looney never posted up. Draymond rarely posted up. Draymond rarely looked for his own shot. It was just Claypool and Steph shooting threes. Wiggins every now and then will take a little mid range. He didn't even post up that often, right? They lost the essence of their offense, and they really started playing like Steve Nash and Phoenix Suns. So I don't know what happened to the offense, man. I didn't recognize it at all. Yeah, them max contracts. Yeah, that junk crazy, ain't it, man? Yeah. But the offense just turned into something else, and I don't even know if they really realized that they was doing that, man. What I mean, it was almost like if a team could guard the three, instead of them saying, "All right, man, y'all trying to stop the three, we're going back door like they used to." Nah, they was like, we still go try to force this three up because we so good at it. We just go keep jacking these threes up, man. The Lakers had a phenomenal game plan for them in game one. And they kept trying to run that same BS to try to get them threes jacked up with Clay and Steph, man. So the offense itself was pretty bad. Then you got Draymond, right? I say Draymond is the gift and the curse right now, because what we do know about Draymond is that he's a mentally tough guy, physically tough guy, and that's what the Warriors need personality-wise, because it don't appear. I'm not saying Clay and Steph are mentally weak. I know they're not mentally weak. They're mentally tough as well. But Steph being a smaller guy, and they're not big, physical, type basketball players where they're imposing their will and stuff like that. And a lot of people feel like the only way you can stop Steph really if you rough him up, right? So that's why it's really important to have Draymond there, because I guess he brings to the table what Steph and Clay don't have with the toughness, right? So he's one of those necessary evils for Golden State, and they can't seem to separate themselves from him, no matter how much mischief or how much trouble he caused, how many bad texts and fouls, and how he cussing out refs and how he cuss out Bob Myers. Like, he's a menace in that organization, man. Like he really feels like he can say whatever he wants to whoever. And it looks like he can. I mean, who's gonna stop him, right? And in their mind, they're like, there's no one else that we can get other than Draymond to do what Draymond do. We're not gonna find a guy who can take up for Steph and Clay, who can push around people on the court, who can get people motivated and ready in the locker room, and someone who can pass as well as him and defend as well as him. And like, he do so many things. They're like, man, he's doing like 100 different jobs that's all necessary in one guy. Like, how can we get rid of him? So him knowing that he's not easily expendable is also giving him the thought process that, hey, look, man, it don't matter what I can do. I do whatever I want to out here. And ain't nothing you can do. I can knock out my teammate. I can cuss whoever out. I can run KD out of here. I can call him a B. I can do all this stuff, and nothing's going to happen. I can crack somebody in their chest with my feet during the game. Like, what can't Draymond Green do in the organization without them coming and calling him and enabling him and saying that he didn't do anything wrong? Now, he can do whatever he wants. So, but now he in a situation to where it's costing his team, and I don't think you're going to win with him no more. But on the other end, I don't think you can win without him. Like, so it's the weirdest catch-22 in the world, man. Like, what do you do? So the only thing you can't, because if you get rid of Draymond, you have to change your whole scheme up, because he fits it so well with Steph. But if you get rid of Draymond, it's got to be a new scheme. And that new scheme could have worked if they still had Wiseman, but they don't have Wiseman anymore. Right? So I don't know what they're going to do. But I think the core group expects changes to be made. Here's Steph Curry when they asked him about the roster.
Steph, when you think about getting better, becoming a championship level team, how much responsibility or onus do you put on the young players? You kind of went into the season with a bunch of them. Obviously, Wiseman got traded, and Moses is the only one. Well, Jordan's playing minutes in the end. How much do you expect from them next season, and how much is there? And was it disappointing not to see them get more time or produce more in these playoffs?
There's a lot in there. I think, everybody's going to get better. Everybody's going to take the next steps. Everybody's going to learn the lessons that you learned this year and try to put them into use next year. I don't know what the opportunity is going to be. I don't know what the roster will look like. I don't know, sitting here right now, what, opening night's going to look like in terms of who's going to be asked to do what. But I have a lot of confidence in everybody being able to take advantage of the summer. Add to your skill set, add to your mental preparation for the year, and the list of guys that kind of fall in that bucket. Be ready to take those next steps, because that's the journey of your career that you're always on. So it's just hard to say specifics right now about what it'll look like, because this league is crazy and things can change really quickly.
Yeah, he's letting you know. Look, man. I know some changes coming, and we know the changes is not going to be like we letting somebody walk in free agency. The changes going to be trades, right? Because if you look at everyone, people are locked up on the contract. The only free agents, okay, if you look at the free agents, you got Jermichael Green. Okay, they probably let him go. They probably won't bring him back. Andre Iguodala retired, right? Anthony Lamb. I think they like Lamb. They might keep him, but he's cheap. But other than that, everybody's locked up. DiVincenzo has a player option. I'm pretty sure he'll opt into it because he said he liked Golden State. Jordan Poole's locked up. Moses Moody's locked up. Patrick Baldwin Jr. locked up. Kuminga locked up. Kevon Looney, Gary Payton. Everyone's locked up. Draymond Green has a player option. He'll probably pick up. Everyone's locked up for next year, at least, except a few guys that I named, Jermichael Green and Iguodala and the guys at the bottom. So the changes that Steph Curry is hinting to is not free agent walkaways, right? The changes are trades, and we know Steph Curry is not getting traded. He's never going to get traded. He's untradeable. He's untouchable. Right, so Steph Curry is not getting traded. So who's all the trade bait? We know for a fact Jordan Poole is trade bait. And if you trade Poole, then you might be able to keep Draymond and Clay. But if you keep Draymond and Clay, Poole has to go. But if you keep Poole, you gotta trade Draymond and probably Clay at the same time. You probably got to get rid of both of them this summer. So and if Steph Curry had a vote, we know who he would be voting for. He would be voting for the core. Right. So I think the odd man out is Jordan Poole. And if they need to make more than one move, I think it's possible that Wiggins is gone too. So look at it that way. Well, and Kuminga as well. So Wiggins, Kuminga, and Poole, those three names, think about them getting traded. Or you got the option of keeping all those and trading Draymond and Clay. Keep that in mind. Those are the names. And Steph knows it, but you know who Steph is voting for. You're right, they do need a big. They do need a big. And it would be funny if Dylan Brooks it's funny because when Dylan Brooks was going back and forth with Draymond, he said, "Man, I can do everything he can do, man. He just show up and work, and play defense. I can do that." You know what I mean? So, no, man, Dylan Brooks is hilarious, man. I hope he get picked up to a team that they really could use him, man. And I wish he would have stayed. Honestly, I wish he would have stayed in Memphis. All right, so last thing I get on is Klay Thompson, man, and like I said, he's at a fork in the road in his career with Golden State because he has a decision to make. Where I think Klay is right now as a basketball player is probably where Ray Allen was his last year in Boston. And Ray Allen's last year in Boston, he had lost a step a little bit, you know what I mean? And I think what he was really suffering at was defense. He just got finished getting cooked in the finals against Kobe Bryant. And, he used to could do okay against Kobe when he was like Milwaukee, Seattle. But he ain't had nothing for Kobe at that time. So it was hard for him to guard some of those twos. So Doc Rivers was going to start Avery Bradley over him that year. And he wanted Ray Allen to come off the bench. Ray Allen was like, I'm not coming off the bench for nobody. Right. But he went to Miami and came off the bench for Miami, which is funny. He went to go play with LeBron and he came off the bench. But I think that's where Klay is at. He's lost a little step, but he's still a great shooter. And he still can help a championship team. He just can't be the second best player. So Klay could either stay in Golden State, and he's got to understand that next year is going to be his last contract that he's making over $40 million. And he's got to understand if he want to stay in Golden State, he's going to be getting a lot less money after next year if he want to stay and play with his boy Steph. Right. So he's got to understand that, like, you're not a number 2 anymore on a championship team, but you probably could be a 6-man on a championship team. You come off the bench and you can light it up and shoot whatever the heck threes you want. Just come out here and light it up like Ben Gordon, right? Light it up like Ray Allen did coming off the bench for Miami Heat. Do that. But let me find another 2-guard to start, a younger guy, right? And maybe that's not Poole. Who knows? Maybe it's putting Wiggins at the 2 again. Maybe you trade Poole, you get a couple of draft picks, and then it's Steph at the 1 and Wiggins at the 2, right? And then maybe Kuminga at the 3, Draymond at the 4, Looney at the 5, come off the bench with Klay Thompson for instant offense. Maybe that's the thing, right? That'll help your defense a little bit more. Now you got a great defender in Wiggins that's on the 2, and you got another wing like Kuminga playing the 3, and then you got another defender like Draymond Green. Like, how would you not love that? That's a heck of a lineup with some scoring punch and defending and rebounding and all that good stuff. And then, of course, Steph get to do his thing, right? So that's a way to look at that. But honestly, if we want to be real about it, a lot of people probably not going to agree with him, but Jordan Poole is better than Klay Thompson right now. And what happened with the Jordan Poole this year and in the playoffs, I think it really just boils down to his team didn't have his back, and there was a separation. There was a separation between him and the core group of guys, and he could feel it, and you can't fake that. He knew they wasn't down for him like that. He knew there was some jealousy there, right? The punch proved that, right? So the fact that everybody close to Draymond keeps coming out and taking jabs at Jordan Poole proves that. Like, Draymond Green has a business relationship with Colin Cowherd. Colin Cowherd has a media company or YouTube channel called The Volume. The first athlete that had his podcast on that channel was Draymond Green. Ever since Draymond Green been on that, been doing this podcast on that channel, Colin Cowherd been singing his praises. And as soon as the Draymond Green punch happened, Colin Cowherd came on air, because he has a podcast on there as well, and started defending Draymond Green and saying that Jordan put what he's hearing from nobody. He won't never say no name. He's saying what I'm hearing from people that are in the know, or someone close to the situation, or one time he said someone close to Steve Kerr. What I'm hearing from someone very close to Steve Kerr is that Jordan Poole deserved it, He's a smart mouth young kid. He got a lot of attitude and he's cocky and all this stuff. Like, I'm like, man, who is telling Colin Cowherd this? And every time the Warriors are talked about and Jordan Poole name comes up, if you listen to Colin Cowherd, he's always talking about how his attitude need to be adjusted and how he's this and how he's that. And I'm like, man, who the heck is telling him that? And it's just people. It's people like Draymond Green. This just look, Lane, you just don't understand. This dude is this dude is that, and they're going to the media and they're going to the fans and telling them all this. So now everybody got this negative opinion about Poole, and they're not even smart enough to understand where they got that negative opinion from. We heard it somewhere. I don't even remember where I heard it, but Poole deserves. Like, I talk to people all the time, and I talk about this situation with Golden State and Poole and the punch and all that stuff, and all I keep hearing people say is, man, Poole, man, what I'm hearing is Poole is this and Poole is that. That means he deserved to get punched? And that means that the guy who punched him didn't deserve any punishment? Like, people don't, like, think about what you're saying. Like, okay, so let's say if that's all true, he do got an attitude and he is cocky. And he did brag about the bag he about to get. Let's say that's all true. That mean punch him? All right, you know what I mean? If you're cocky and I'm mad because you're cocky, how's that bothering me? Like, well, if you're cocky, if you're over there lifting weights and you're flexing in the mirror, if that makes me mad enough to punch you, like, come on, man, make that make sense. How am I the bad guy for getting punched because I'm cocky? And then the guy who punched me, he don't need an attitude adjustment at all. He don't need anger management. Like, he just punched me because I deserved it, and everybody's supposed to be okay with it. All right, so that's what everybody say about Jordan Poole, and I think it's interesting because in the interview, DiVincenzo was asked about Jordan Poole, and this is what he had to say.
Formed a pretty good relationship with Jordan Poole over this last season. Just how have you thought, being in the room with him, seeing him behind closed doors and stuff, how have you thought that he's just navigated this season with the brighter spotlight?
I ride with Jordan till the wheels fall off, to be honest with you. The amount of attention he has, spotlight that he has on him. I've seen him come in every day and never change his work ethic, never change the type of person he is. And, for that, I have a great deal of respect for. But the thing is, he's still willing to learn. He's still willing to accept, different voices for him to get better. But the one thing about JP that I admire the most is his confidence. It never wavers, and we're definitely going to need that to go forward. You can't have people out there that, second guess themselves or their confidence isn't at an all-time high. I love sharing the court with Jordan. Like I said, no matter what happens with him, he's gonna come in the next day and always be Jordan.
So you always gonna hear all these nerds come on here and say what they heard from inside the organization about Jordan Poole, and it's all negative and stuff like that. But it's the same thing with Kyrie, man. When you actually listen to people who are unbiased and they talk about him as a teammate or as a person, it's nothing but good stuff. Right? It's nothing but good stuff. It's the same thing, man. Like, people say great things about Jordan Poole. The only people who don't are people who are biased because they have a relationship with Draymond or Clay. Right? And they're taking sides, and they're trying to justify the treatment that he's getting. And heck yeah, Jay, we should be stopping calling him Game 6 Clay. I never called him Game 6 Clay, to be honest with you. I never did. Eric Flores, can the Warriors continue to be competitive without dominating the 3-point shooting? Do they need to change their philosophy? I think both the answers is yes. They can still, they can still be competitive without jacking up threes. As a matter of fact, they should. And that's the second part of your question. Yeah, they should change their philosophy. And I think they was trying to do that. That's why they drafted Wiseman. That's why they drafted Kuminga. Right? They're trying to get big wings and big players down low and have a different style. And I think Steph Curry could ease right into that role, like running out. Come on, at 36, 37, 38, is he gonna be the guy that can outrun everybody through them screens for 4 quarters for 82 games plus playoffs. Like Steve Nash couldn't even do it. Like Steve Nash played that type of style where he's running around like the road runner and shooting and doing all this stuff, right? And then when he got to the Lakers, he ain't had nothing left. Couldn't play like that. And as a matter of fact, the offense they ran with the Lakers, I think Kobe still wanted to do a little bit of the triangle with Dwight and all that stuff. And Steve Nash didn't have he didn't even fit in. Like if Steve Nash wanted to run around with the ball and dribbling and going down in the paint and then coming out of the paint and going back to the 3-point line in the circle, like he was just doing all types of stuff with the ball, like Curl O'Neal, Harlem Globetrotter type stuff, right? You put him in a structured offense with a scorer like Kobe and a big man that wanted to be in a post like Dwight, and he wasn't that, he didn't have a style that he could contribute. Right, Steph don't have that problem. I think Steph could move into a different style and still be Steph. Right, and of course you still gonna have your moments where you can operate like that, where you can be running off screens, where you can be jacking threes up. But I really do think what the Lakers showed them to this series with just one big, and if you want to add LeBron as a big or Rui Hachimura as a big, yeah, they got 3, right? But they wasn't always on the floor at the same time. But what they showed them is, look, you could still dominate the paint and win. That, as a matter of fact, that's how the Lakers got their bubble ring. They had AD, Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee. Like you could still have these bigs and it be a mismatch. And you could still get your threes up. Right. So yeah, they do need to change their philosophy on offense for sure. Poole was minute out of it. He probably was. He probably was. I mean, when you got the core against you and Steve Kerr, I mean, what you supposed to do? Steve Kerr cutting your minutes, you being scapegoated for not scoring, but you only played 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, man, it's tough. You ain't getting no plays called for you, and then they turn around saying we lost because you ain't contribute, but here it is, Steph and Clay going for 4 for 30 from 3 in the closeout game, but they want to blame Jordan Poole. I'm not the one who got 12 3 attempts up and played 40 minutes. I'm the guy that played 10 minutes and got 4 threes up. You get what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. That's my thought on it. But yeah, I think the Warriors. I don't know how they fix this, man. It's gonna be a long summer for them. I told you my thoughts on what I think they should do to fix it. Pick one, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't keep these young guys on the bench while you letting these the core just have their fun in the sun and rub it in at the same time. Especially if you go give one of them a max extension and then tell them you're playing 10 minutes in a closeout game, right? So you got to choose. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Do what you get paid to do, Bob Myers. Make a tough decision. Look a man in the face. Look a gift horse in his face. No pun intended. Draymond do look like a horse, but look a gift horse in his face, man, in his mouth, and tell him, we don't want you to pick up that option. You can if you want to, but as soon as you pick it up, we trade you. Right. So either don't pick the option up and go seek your team you want to go play for, or pick your option up and then you go on the trade block immediately. Right. We're moving on. We appreciate what you did for us. We appreciate the 4 rings you brought us. We appreciate all the years of winning, but we're moving on from the core. Right. We got our replacements here, and we're going to throw them out there to the wolves and see how they can carry themselves. And we're going to do it with Steph. And then you go to Klay Thompson and tell him, hey, man, thank you for everything. You got an option. Right. You can make $40 million next year on your final year of your contract. And then you can sign a contract for the vet minimum. We would love to keep you, but in the role coming off the bench as a 6-man, right? But in order for us to keep you, we gotta be able to afford it, right? So you can do that, or you can play your last year out here, and then go seek free agency after next summer, right? That's what I would tell both of them dudes, and I will move forward with the young guys and Wiggins and Steph, and I change my offense slightly. That's what I would do. Draymond looked like the dude who said these nuts on God. Yeah. He does. He looked like him. He looked just like him. But all right, man. That's all I wanted. Man, you know what? This was actually pretty fun to do, man. I might do Phoenix next. I might sit down and tell you exactly what Phoenix need to do this summer after they just fired their coach. I might do that. But I appreciate y'all stopping by, man. I'll catch y'all on the next episode. Peace.